Hello, Sandy from Doux Designs, who's gonna join me tonight. I wonder. I know it's a different night and you guys aren't used to Friday night, but I appreciate you guys giving me a chance to do this tonight instead of last night. Something came up, but I really appreciate you guys understanding. If you're watching the replay on YouTube, make sure that you like and subscribe so that we can build that channel up and I can start doing some lives from there. I can see that somebody has joined, so feel free to say hi when you pop on so I know everything's working. Oh, hello, Judy. How are you? Been a little while since I've seen your name pop up on here. I hope all is well. So I have an interesting bit of Christmas fun for you guys tonight. But it is not going to be like any Christmas card you normally see because, you know, I don't like to be normal. So, I chose this Merry Christmas sentiment from Trinity Stamps. I really like it. It has the words and then it has a border background for it. So you can do it in different colors, which is what we're going to do tonight. So that's the Merry Christmas. Hey, Cheryl, I'm doing good. This is the Merry Christmas that I'm going to use tonight. I did get it from Trinity Stamps. It's called Scripty Christmas. So that's what we're going to use tonight. And then we're also going to use this new Rock On stamp set. And I guess you would know from the description that I put that, you know, we're going to use the frog tonight. This is called Rock On and it is found here. I don't know if we'll use music notes or anything else, but we're definitely using that frog like a bunch of times. So you'll see here in just a few minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out this little mask that I made. And we may just not use the Misty and just eyeball this thing tonight. I mean, I'm feeling adventurous. How are you guys feeling? Anybody else feeling adventurous tonight? I feel no fear. If we mess it up, we have more paper, so no problem. Okay. I'm also going to use this paper pad called Whimsical Wonderland. I'm going to use one of the papers, this one right here, from the paper pack. So here's some of the pieces I've already cut. So I'm going to use this. All right, who's ready? Are we ready to get going? So what I did was, I'm not going to be making a regular card. There's going to be like some special characteristics to it. So I have this little piece of acetate that we're going to use. I know it's hard to see on camera because it's clear. And I just laid it across the center right here. And then I drew lines with a pencil. So I know exactly where to put my frog, because I want you to be able to see it through the clear window. So we're going to start, I want to duplicate the frog all the way across, but whenever you do that, whenever you're going to stamp multiple ones in a line, you always want to start with the center of the line, and then you can stamp out from there. That way you don't end up with something that's off center in the end. So that is my little tip for you tonight. So just because I'm explaining this, I'm going to go ahead and do it with a ruler so you can see. The card's 5 1/4 because regular card stock is 5 1/2 and I like a border. So this is 5 1/4. And I just want to get my little froggy in the center. So if we had 5, it would be 2 1/2, but we have 5 1/4, so it's about 2 1/8. So as long as we're right about here, we're probably pretty center to the card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my mask there so I know where I want to stamp this little guy. Can you guys see me? I don't see any comments, really. I just want to make sure that this is working and that I didn't lose you guys. I do see your hello, Cheryl, but after that it stopped. So if you're talking, I can't see them. So I'm going to use the tuxedo black from Memento because, you know, that's my favorite go-to, only because it's it doesn't ever smear when I'm using it. And I'm just going to ink up my little froggy right here. Hi, Diana. Yay. Diana, did you get your stamps? We're about to do our frog. So I'm a little concerned because it looks like I got a little bit too much over there on the side. And since we're hand stamping this, I don't want to mess it up. So I'm just going to grab a piece of paper and stamp it off. Make sure that it would have looked okay. So now I'm going to do it again, but I'm not going to pick up the ink pad, because if you pick up the ink pad, sometimes you get an uneven amount of ink, and I didn't want that to happen. So I'm going to move my little frog. Remember, we want it somewhere around the middle of this, so between the 2 and 3, somewhere approximately here. I'm a typical eyeball it kind of person, so we have him about middle. You did? Yay! I'm just going to press that down, and then I'm going to lift it up, and we have one frog. Yay! Success. Okay, so that's just the beginning. Now I'm going to mask that one frog with this masking tape from Gina K that I already cut out, if I can get a hold of it. I'm so glad you got it. We usually watch the tracking for packages and stuff, and I knew you were looking for it, so I'm really glad it arrived. And if you want to color with me, you could always stamp it. You have time. You don't have to stamp it as many times as I am, but okay. So now we have a mask on there. So now what I'm going to do is, oops, I'm sorry, I hit the cord for the phone because I'm trying to move the light so you guys can really see. So we got a little wobbly going here. Sorry about the earthquake. Okay, so now I'm going to ink it up again. And I'm going to do, so this is going to be the frog in the front and center. And then these are going to look like they're starting to go behind the other frog. So I'm going to place this one. I still want to be able to see his face, but I'm going to place this one right here. Okay, so now we have 2. And then I'm going to leave the mask on there for this time. And I'm going to stamp one on the other side. So I'm going to put him kind of in the same amount of distance from the one in front. Now you could measure this out, but you know I'm not a measurer on that kind of thing. So here we go. There's our other frog. So now we have 3. I was hoping 5 would fit on here. I wasn't sure, but I was hoping. So now I'm going to remove this mask, and I'm going to move it over to the frog on the right. And they don't have to be perfect. As long as they're on there, that's really the point of the whole thing. So I'm going to place it on top of this frog so I can stamp one more. I mean, because you can reuse these maskings that you make. And then we're going to add another one on this end. It won't be a full frog, but it will be frog. So yay, we got that. It'll just be part of him. But I wanted them going off the page, so I'm kind of excited about that working out quite well. Okay, and the other one on the other side, we'll get more of his back end instead of his front end. And I'm going to put this one down this time so it doesn't get on my table. But don't overlap them, because then you'll get a bump on your stamp when you stamp. Now I'm just going to leave that on the Memento while I move this mask again. And I want to move him over to this side so I can now stamp the one on the other side. So this is not hard, but you could do this with any stamp set you want so that you can keep that, you know, straight line going. So I'm going to put this one over here. And what I'm doing is watching. I just want to keep them basically about the same width. They're a little bit different, but it's, you know, it's not perfect, but I'm trying to keep them pretty close. So it's a never-ending row of frogs. Yay! So there we go. We have lots of frogs. I'm going to cover this up. I'm done stamping that cute little froggy. And now that I have them on there, I'm going to go ahead and erase the lines that I put on there so they don't, you know, stay on there. If I can find my eraser, which I just had. How many of you lose stuff on your desk all the time? Maybe I'm not going to erase if I can't find it. Oh, so how's everybody's week going? It's Friday. It's Friday. Are you guys excited about it being Friday? I know I am. Okay, I don't know how you lose an eraser on your desk, but I probably have a second one in the drawer. Can you guys see it? Sometimes you guys can see it, even though I can't. Do you see my gummy eraser? Ah, there it is. See, I knew it was escaping me. So I'm going to erase those lines I put on there just to make sure I had gotten the frog in the, basically in the center of the card. And you'll see why it was really important that I got it in that exact spot here in just a minute. When we get to the card making part. There we go. So now we have a row of frogs. No more pencil lines. All right, so I want, since I'm going to make this a Christmas card, I want all my frogs to be green, but they're not all going to be the same color of green, because what fun is that, right? You need a variety of colors. So I'm going to take this mask off because we're about to start coloring. There we go. Now they all look the same. I'm going to take this and I'm going to place it on top of the sheet where my stamp goes, and that way I can use it again later. Clearly I do that a lot since I have all of them on there. And I have some colors, so I'm going to do all of their eyes red. So I chose R56, R46, and R24 as my red color combination. And I'm going to use this same red on all of them. And then I'm going to use several different varieties of green or greenish blue. Since I chose this blue card base, I wanted a little bit of blue green in there. So I chose BG 78, 75, and 72. And that'll be one of them. And that'll probably be the center frog, only because the rest of them are more greenish, and so I want it to pan out in green. I have, let's see, I have two light colors of green. So I have YG 41, or I'm sorry, 45, 41, and YG 11. Look, I used that YG 11, the numbers coming off. YG 11. So this will be one frog. And then I also have, and I kind of want to test this color because I'm not really sure it'll work, but this is YG09 and YG07. That looks good. This is the one I was worried about. And this is YG06. But I want to try YG05 to see if I want 6 or 5. I couldn't decide which one I liked better. So this is YG05. And let's look at that. No, I think I'm going to stick with the 6. So go with my first thought. So we have YG09, YG07, and YG06. So that's a third frog. And then I have two more. 1, 2, 3. Yep, that's right. Two more. This one is going to be really light. So this is YG03, YG01, and YG00. So I think the lightest ones I'm going to put on the two ends. So I'm just going to sit them on my desk in the order I want them to be. And the last combination I have is YG67, YG17, and YG63. So this is another one of the frog colors. And since the two lightest colors, the one on the right is even lighter, I'm going to put the lighter of these two sets next to the lightest color, and I'm going to put the darker one on the other side. So in essence, it's going to be more of a dark to light on both sides, but with all different colors. That gives us quite a variety. And we're going to do red last because you know I don't want to pull the red into anything. Now, I know that on the packaging, I did the little red feet, which I love, but I don't know if the little red feet will look good on all of the frogs, so with all the different color combinations. So I'm not going to do the feet red. I'm just going to do the eyes red, and then the rest of the frog is going to be in the green color. So that's my plan. I'm going to actually start with this frog and move my way that way, just because that's how the markers are on my desk. Here's the first three. And the darkest one is YG03. So we're going to start with YG03. And we're just going to put that as our shadow. So up under here, all the underside. Look at that. I want to put red on his feet so bad. I hear police cars. So what's everybody doing? Is anybody coloring tonight? Anybody coloring tonight with me? This is where his little arm is, so I'm going to make that a little bit rounded. And then I definitely want to go around his eye with the darkest color. And I'm going to do a little bit on this one. And then a little bit up underneath his eye. And right there. What if the middle frog has red feet? I can do that. I think it'll look good. We'll try it. I don't mind trying it. You're actually cross-stitching? Okay. That's no problem. I used to cross-stitch a lot when I was younger. Okay, let's do some shadow on his little feet. And we're going to do the one in the middle with red feet. And the rest of them are not going to have red feet. That way you'll at least get a taste of it either way, both ways. There's a little bit of work to do when you blend the colors for the feet because they're not separated by a line. So you have to do that blending yourself. Then this is YG01. Before I ever had any kids, I used to cross stitch sometimes at home when I was young. Not like a kid, but like living on my own, but home alone. I would do some cross stitching. I remember the one that I did was like a Easter picture. I remember because I worked on it for so long. It took forever for me to do it. And you're pretty good if you can watch a video and listen to a video and still cross stitch without messing up. This one is YG00. It's going to move even more into that yellow color, but we're going to use that as our highlight. So you'll be able to see our frog changing colors. And you just want to make sure when you're coloring that you can't see the, sorry. I was trying to fix the light for you guys again. Look at me. I am just clumsy as all get out tonight. as long as you can't see the line, like the line here where the darker color was, you're good. I had to move the camera because it was so dark in my room, I couldn't see what I was coloring. I have to at least be able to see. I'm not real good at coloring in the dark. Not that I haven't done it by candlelight, because I have if the light went out, but you're in cross-stitching group. You're stitching patterns for a big class on a... Oh, that is cool. That's really cool. I did not know that, but I think that's pretty cool. Okay, so that little froggy has his color. He is ready to go. So the next one I'm going to do is the YG 45 colors, 45, 41, and 11. And like I said, it's these are super simple and pretty quick to color up, especially this little frog. But I like him. He makes me happy. I really like frogs. The tree frog is my favorite one. The one with the red feet. That's my favorite frog. I do like the poison dart frogs too. They have really beautiful yellow and blue colors. This is the full frog. We're going to see all of this frog. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. I knew the screen was going to freeze. I just knew it. Well, we'll keep going, but I knew that was going to happen tonight because it started stuttering, so I was pretty sure I was going to end up with that not being able to see it on TV. I hate when that happens. So I'm going to put it on my computer so I can hear you guys. I mean, so I can read what you're doing, what you're saying. But I'll turn the volume down so you can't hear it on camera, but at least I'll be able to see the comments. But I really hate when it does that. I hate when it acts up like that. It's not like we're having bad weather, but come on, see? Okay, I can see the comments now. I'm going to move my computer over here so it's in front of me, so I can see if the comments come in. There we go. All right. Okay, so back to where we were. Here's the little frog. And I am going to do on the bottom of his feet, along where his little toes are. And a little bit here. And then a little bit behind that arm. Along his feet. And this backside is darker than, you know, the other frogs overlapping him, and it's behind him, and all the reasons are why I put the darker color there. And then I'm going to move on to the YG 41. This one is this is the color I usually use when I'm doing something in mint color. But I don't usually add the YG11. The YG11 will bring it back to a little bit of less minty and more regular green, yellow green, I guess. But I like this as my mint. So when I do chocolate chip mint ice cream, when I color ice cream, I always use this color. And maybe add one or two more colors to it, but these two, there's only two in the sequence, so you have to find another color that works well with it and go with that. But these frogs, you can give them spots, or you can make them solid like we are right now, but there's such a variety of ways to do this frog. He's super helpful. And by the way, I made him the size that if you print the cake big, like for a card, then you can put him on top of the cake. That's why he's a little bit smaller than all the rest of them. And that digital set with the cake in it is free right now. So if you want to, you should go out there and download it. You don't even have to pay for it. It is free. And you don't have to purchase anything to get it for free. It's just free. Just put it in your cart and go download it. We try to give a free digital stamp every month, at least for the first, at least during the first couple of months or year, whatever, that we are open, so people can try out the digital stamp sets and make sure they like them before they buy any. We will eventually add to the stock of digital prints that we have, but if we end up adding any of the stamps, it'll be after they're out of production. It won't be during the same time. But if you're out of the country and you want the stamps to be shipped to you, just let me know that you can't see them on the website and we'll work something out. So don't worry about that. There we go. So now he is a mint green type frog. And aren't they pretty? See, it doesn't matter what color green you make them, they're just cute. Now I'm gonna go ahead and skip up and go to from this end to this end, since we're gonna use the red. That way I can have the red open and do all the eyes at the same time. So I'm gonna go backwards this time, starting on this end. I'm gonna use the YG09. I mean, it's super cute. I've been wanting to do this ever since I drew the images. This was a card I definitely had in mind that I wanted to make with you guys. So I held off and didn't do it for the samples. I decided to wait until you guys could do it. You're going to go back and look for the digi? Okay, she'll be right back. Pause, please. She'll be right back. We are going to use the digi in next week's videos. At least one of the videos. So if you don't have it, you'll want to get it and be able to print it out. But we are definitely going to use those digital stamps because they're going to make super cute cards with these little frogs and many other of the images. There's a little hat, and you can make it the size of your little frogs or your other band members. And you can put Christmas hats or birthday hats or whatever you want on it. I wish I had thought about that. I could have put a Christmas hat on this little guy, but too late. This is YG07. So this side of the frogs is going to be a little bit darker than this side. I chose a little bit darker colors. I mean, it's such a variety of green. You just aren't ever really sure what color green people like to make their green animals. So I wanted to give you a variety of green colors to play around with. I mean, I could have came up with a whole bunch more, but for now, these are the ones that I chose for tonight. And I also wanted them to match, so I did do a little bit of that. I'm hoping that they're going to all match. I don't know for sure, but I'm hoping. Okay, the last color is YG06. And you can leave as much highlight area as you want or as small as you want, depending on how light or dark you would like your frog to be. This one I left a little bit more of the white space so that he didn't get too dark too fast, since I have a darker color going that way. So use the amount of ink that you think you need to get the color that you want, and practice papers are very helpful for that process. You can practice it before you do it just to make sure that you're going to end up with the color that you want. Or you can even use that extra frog that we stamped practicing to color on, just to make sure you get the range that you want. And you can add coats and you can add as much as you want, whatever you want. It's up to you. It's your little guy. I like that one. He's super cute. He would look really good with that red, with red feet. This color combination will look really good with red feet. So now I'm going to move into the much darker green, which is the YG07, YG17, and YG63. This one's more of a foresty kind of green. So it's the same process on all of them, wherever you want the shadow area to be. And then that is the most important part. And that's what you put on there first. Yeah, the screen froze on me. Now we're still going to make this one with green feet. We're going to do red on the next one. So if you're waiting for that hang up, we're almost there. Get a little bit on his back over here. Just a little bit on his knee. And that frog's overlapping him, so you have to be a little cautious with that. There's a little bit behind him, the body, like the leg. So I like to color that in. Next we have, hey Mom. Happy to see ya. YG17. I know this doesn't typically look like a Christmas card, but I think when we get done, it's going to be super cute. And it definitely goes up my alley for sure. And this little guy will be darker than the other ones. There's a much darker color going on here. But I like this color combination. I use it a lot for grass and trees and stuff like that. It's only 3 colors, but you can add to it if you'd like. It's up to you. It's your project. It's your design. You get to choose how much you want to use of each one. So I leave that part up to you. If you want to do it just like me, these are the colors for now. I'm going to put just a little bit here on the mouth, just so it looks like his mouth is sticking up a little bit higher than the rest of him. I just think it gives him a little personality. This is the only color out of all the greens that I was somewhat tentative with. I wasn't sure if this was going to change the green to something I wasn't happy with. So we'll see. We're about to find out. I think it's okay. I don't think it's going to be too dark. But I wasn't sure because it was definitely going to take away the yellow green and make it look more green. But with the next color being a blue-green color, I think it's going to work great with it. With the blue-green color. Okay, so here we go. Finishing off those little hands and feet and paws and all that good stuff. Okay, now we have 4 down, 1 to go. All right, remember I said our last one was going to have a bit of blue in it. So it's that BG 78, 75, and 72. So 78 is really dark, so we want to use it sparingly because we don't want to overpower the whole thing. So we just want a little bit in our shadow areas. Wherever you want that darkest part to be, I am still going to put it underneath his eyes. I like his eyes to stand out because I think they're really cute. And they will because they're going to be red. But I like them to really stand out. So. And this card is this coloring is going faster than I thought it would. Ooh, don't forget. Feet gonna be red. Feet are going to be red. I have to keep telling myself that. Feet are going to be red. Feet are going to be red. I almost put the wrong color on that back foot. Okay, so we have a bit of this color in there. So I'm going to leave that for now. If I need to go back in, I will. But this one is BG 75. Still pretty dark. So I may leave a little bit more open space for the last color, just so that we can make it just a tad bit lighter than what it's coming out now. But the color's not bad with the greens. I kind of like it. Pretty happy with it. I went down a little bit far on this green, but I think we're going to be okay. We'll see. I mean, it's not really a mistake. It's just a personal preference kind of thing. So I'm going to put a little bit right up here by his mouth. We're not doing the bottom of his feet or anything like that because they're going to be red. So I'm kind of skipping that part for now. Oh, I do want to get a little bit over here. Now, here's our BG 72. I find this one is significantly lighter than the other ones. So sometimes it takes a little bit to get that blending to come together. So just be patient with it. If you're using those same colors, just be patient and work that line where the transition is. See how it worked out up here with that darker color? You just got to work it a little bit. And we'll have to work between the red and the blue-green as well. So I'm just kind of working that line until it looks like it's starting to smooth out for me. Don't want to do it too dark. You don't want to wash it out. So I'll show you again on his mouth area because it looks really dark on the mouth, how I do that. So let me zoom in just a tad bit more so you can actually see it. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to pull from here one more time. And then when I go back over it, I'm only going to go where that line is between the dark and this lighter color. And I'm going to start softening that area up a little bit. And see how that smoothed it out? And now we have a nice, smooth little mouth area right there. I feel like this is a little bit too light, so I'm just going to go over it one more time. Probably because we did so many coats under the face. But there we go. Now we're going to do the same thing on this area back here and on the arm. And I'm okay if this is a little bit lighter because the light could hit that area a little bit more. So I'm going to go right here up close to where where the red is going to seep in here. So I'm going to soften that area just a little bit. We're going to do the same thing with the hind leg. And we'll use the R24 with this BG 72 to get those colors to mesh just like we are right now. So the red looks like it flows right into the blue-green. That is the plan anyway. So we'll see how that goes. So I left his little feet open. And now it's time to pull in the red. But we're still going to keep the BG 72 handy. We're going to start with our 56. So there's not a lot of space on here. It's just these little feet. And we have 3 colors. So I'm going to do just like the bottom of his feet. That's where the darkest would be. And there's a little bit behind here that you can't really see. It's the third part of this one hand. So that's why I put the red right there. And I'm also going to do it right along the inside of his eye on both sides. And we're going to do it over here as well. And then I'm going to do that on all of these. because we want these eyes are all going to be red, so we have more red in the photo. This one, the eye would be right there. You just can't really see it. And then this one, while we have the red out, we might as well do it all at one shot. And there's a little bit of green that seeped into this eye, but it's not really going to matter because the red's going to cover it up anyway. And then we're going to switch to my favorite red, which is R46. And this one's going to be really, really red. So I'm going to start feeding up from the darkest red into where the lighter part will be. Just like this. Okay, and then we're going to go one step further out here on this eye and leave a little bit for the last color. Probably not on this side. That part just gets sucked up. And this side too. There'll be a little bit for the lighter color right here. There we go. This one, and these two. There we go. Now we just have one more color, which is R24. So I'm just going to start on the eyes and get them done, and then we'll do those feet. So right here, just blending into that dark red. Just giving him a little bit of light there, lighter part on the inside of his eye, but definitely making sure that we don't have a line right here. We don't want to see a line. We want that to blend together. So I'm touching with a really, really light hand, and I'm barely touching the paper to get those eyes to come out the way that I want them to. And when we use the black multi-liner, those eyes are really gonna pop. Funny, I was worried about the red on the brown instead of on the yellow, and I like it better on that one. I mean on the dark green, the blue green, and I like it better than the bright green. Kind of crazy, but yeah. So I'm going to come up from the bottom, and I'm going to go over top of a little bit of that blue. Now, right now, it looks a little funny, but don't leave and give up on me, because I need to show you how to blend that with the blue-green. So I'm going to open the blue-green as well. It's the BG72, and I'm going to feed down from the 72 and up with the 24. So we can get those to work together nicely. And then we end up with a very well blended little area right there. So same thing with this one. We're going to come down a little bit with this blue-green right here. And we might as well do both of them at the same time. That back one is easy because I gave you a line there to separate them. But then we're going to come over here and we're going to work this a little bit more. And then with the BG72, we're going to blend that out. So we get a really nice transition between those reds and greens. So now you can see that it worked out perfectly. And you can do that with any colors. Just make sure that you use the two colors that are closest to each other. Like the lightest red and the lightest blue-green, so that you can get them to like really, really blend together. Really, really smooth. So it doesn't look like there's a separation between the two, and that's really important. That's probably the most important part. This is that alcohol-based Le Pen that I'm going to use to do the eyes, because I want those eyes to really stand out. So I'm going to do two of them, and then I want you to really look at the difference between them. So there's this one. And those who watch me have heard me say that like a bunch of times, because it's super important and makes a big difference. Even though you may not think so off the top of your head, or you may not think to do it. If you cover up the white area, don't worry, you can bring that back with the white gel pen. Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I get it right on spot on target, but sometimes I don't. And I'm okay with that because the white gel pen does a great job. So there are 2 of them done and 3 of them not. And you can really see the lightness within those that you can't see within these 2. Hopefully, if that camera is focused nicely, you can see the prettier black than you see over here. So this one is one that you can really see the lightness in it. So I'm going to show you. This one over here is the one I keep covering up, the white. Don't worry though, we'll put it back. But this one, I think you can see it the most. You'll be able to really tell when I put that black on there, the difference on this one. So look at how much that eye really darkens up. And it's probably because this nib is a little bit bigger than the multi-liner I usually use from Copic. So maybe that's why I cover up the white more often than I used to. But it's fine either way. There we go. And then this one. Yeah, I knew I was going to cover that one too. I'll leave just a little bit of it white. And then just a tad along there. And I'm just going to put that on there, even though you can't really see it, just because I feel like it needs to have a little bit of that there. Oh, thank you. They look awesome. You like all my little froggies here? The only other thing is I definitely want to give them something to stand on, if you will, you know, because they look like they're just out there limbo by themselves. So I think I'm going to grab probably a B42 and maybe something to go with that. Like maybe we'll use E30 and E42. So I'm just going to build a little bit of shadow underneath their feet, like underneath their little feet right here with the darkest color. So it looks like they kind of have a shadow underneath them. And then we'll just work out from there. I didn't know that I was going to use another color. I thought I had pulled them all. But now that I see them just looking like they're out here standing on their own. I also like to put just a little bit behind them, like in the shadow back here. So it looks like they're actually standing on a full ground rather than just on the edge of this rock or sand or table or whatever they're standing on. So E30 is the next one, and you can really use anything. You can use W's or you can use, you know, whatever you want. So I'm just going to go out from here, from where that dark is. I don't want to wash that out, so I'm not going to spend too much time going over that. I still want it to be a little bit darker, and I usually re-enhance that like when I'm finished. And then I'm going to come down just a little bit lower. But I'm just going to do a little bit on there. And then what I usually do is take my colorless blender, because I think that this is where you get it to fade just a little bit. And I'm going to use the chisel end. So this one right here. Oh, I'm so glad you guys like them. I'm going to use this to kind of soften that edge. Because I don't want it to look like, oh, there's an edge right there, but then it just drops off into nothing. So we just kind of soften that up a little bit. And then I'm going to hit the shadow area one more time with this E42. And I am going to do it on the behind, because this is all in shadow right back here. So one more time on this. It doesn't have to be the like perfectly straight. I wouldn't worry about that. This time I'm going to hold my marker upright so I can make my little lines, my little shadow lines, a little bit darker. And I'm just going to do under the body, under the feet. I'm not going to do the whole thing, just under the feet, where the body is, and then under this foot, and then here, and here, and right here, just for a little extra shadow. Doesn't have to be perfect again, it's just a little bit of shadow. There we go. And that will allow for it to look just a little bit more like a shadow. I'm not going to wash that out. I want you to see that. I want it to look like that. But I also have so much color in the background and stuff that I don't want to, I'm not going to put anything behind them at the top. Now, if I was putting them outside, I would say sky or whatever. I might do a little bit more on that, but not this time because of the decision I have with the remainder of what we have left on our card. So we're going to do a couple of techniques with our card tonight. I hope I don't lose those eyes. Not eyeballs, but like the letter I, the tops of the letter I. Okay, so I chose a card base and I cut the top. So like usually it closes up like this. You guys know because you've watched me a bunch of times. Like this. And I left what I think is about 1.5 inches, I think. 1.25 inches, 1 1/4 here. And then I cut out a center section. So be this one. I cut this one out, which I think is 1.5 inches. Yep. And then I had the bottom piece. So I had like, I cut it in 3 sections. So if you're cutting it, it's 1.5, 1.5, 1 1/4. And I took those off because we're going to use those. I'm going to burnish this. Oh, I'm glad you like how the frogs look. And then I cut a piece of acetate that was about 1.5 inches, I'm guessing. Was it 1.5 inches? Maybe a little bit more. No, it is 1.5 inches. So I want to place this piece of acetate in here. I'm probably going to put it here. And then I want to place one piece of the card back on here. So we're going to need to look at, I may have cut them all too short. Look at that. They all fit in there. I needed one a little bit longer. But anyway, that is that. And I have more blue, so I'll cut one. The bottom one needs to be a little bit longer. Oh, I think I have it right here. Yeah. So it needs to be a little bit longer because it needs to go up underneath the acetate. So we actually need 1 3/4, I would say, since 1.5 inches is not quite right. So I'm going to do 1 3/4. We need a little overlapping. 1 3/4. All right. I haven't done this in a long time, you guys, but we got this. So I'm going to lay this down right here. And what I'm going to do, just so I get this like perfectly straight, is I'm going to put washi tape to hold it still for me right here and right here. And then I'm going to place my acetate on top. Hopefully my frogs will still fit in the window. There's not a whole lot. Let's flip this over. Get down there where you're supposed to be. I'm going to place this one on the edge. It's not a lot of overlap. It's just a teeny bit. I could have made a bigger acetate piece, I guess, but I did not. And we just want to glue that piece of acetate, like see how there's just like about 1/8 on each side, but we're going to cover it up with another layer like that, so you're not going to be able to see that. So I'm going to put glue right along the edge. There we go. You like the little frogs? So I'm going to put it right along this edge right here if the glue wants to come out of the bottle. I haven't used this one in a long time because it's low on Barely Art glue and I haven't refilled it yet. So let me shake it. Shake it, shake it, shake it. There we go. And I'm just going to go along that edge and I'm going to go along this edge. That is where I want those two to be. Where I want the glue to be. And it's just enough to hold that piece of acetate still. I have a magnet right here. I'm going to hold this down with the magnet so it doesn't move. I think I'll hold this one too. These are my magnets from the what's it called? Glassboard Studio, where I got my glassboard. They sell the magnets too, and I use it for things like this when I need to hold it still. So I'm just making sure that I'm pretty straight on each end, and I am. It's perfect. And then I'm just going to press that down. I'm not going to press too hard just yet. So one of these is too short and one is too long. So I am going to have to cut the pieces that go over top. But we remember what they are. 1 1/4 and 1 3/4. So I'm just going to grab another piece of blue paper because I cut that one too short. There we go. And we'll just trim it with our little trimmer here. Super easy and quick. Won't take much time. So 1 3/4, that's the one on the bottom. And then 1 1/4, it's the one on the top. And I want it to be the same size because I don't want it to like be obvious that there's paper on top of paper, if you will. But I want to be able to cover that up. So you could cover it up with pattern paper, but I want to do it, this is the way that I wanted it to come out. So it's just a preference, but there's lots of variations you can do with this. Now that I have it stuck on there, I'm going to take the washi tape off. This is washi tape I've used about 500 times already. I'm going to put glue right around this. I'm going to grab my other glue because that one is misbehaving. And I know I have another one. That one's misbehaving because there's not enough glue in the bottle. It's almost empty. I don't usually let it get that low, but I was making a scrapbook. It doesn't have any pictures in it, but I made a scrapbook for my son and my new daughter-in-law's wedding. I just left empty spaces that said what size photo goes in that area. And I used a lot of glue on that, so I used a bunch of my glue and I haven't refilled it yet. So I'm going to place that on top. I'm going to make sure, I'm going to pick it up and make sure that like it's smooth on top, like I want it to be even. So I'm going to set it on the table and press down so it's as close to even all the way across as I want it to be. And then I'm going to use this soda press that you guys know I use every single time I craft. And I'm going to put that on there nicely. Now we're going to have an opening in our card. I'm very excited about this. There's probably easier ways to do this, but this is where my brain was going today. So this is what we got. And then I'm going to put that larger piece down here, that 1 3/4 piece. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stand it up this way and press down just so I know that my paper is all the way even on the bottom right here. And then I'm going to press it, soda press. And this just spreads the glue out and makes sure that it gets a really good hold on there. And that's pretty important. So I make sure I do that. Now open it up and make sure there's no glue on the inside that like seeped out or whatever. There was a little bit that went right here, but if you have that problem, you can use the same eraser that we used earlier, and it'll rub that glue right off. It might take a little bit to like go over it, but it will eventually rub it all the way off and not rub any of the paper. So you don't have to worry about that. And plus, we're putting a piece of paper over this, so it's not really going to matter. There we go. Now we have an open window in our card. Super cute. So the next step is that paper pad that I told you we were going to use. We're going to have to cut one because I cut these the wrong size. But, yep, this one needs to be cut a little bit smaller, and this one needs to be cut a little bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this down. If this is 1 1/4, I just want 1/8 smaller than that. So this is my 1 1/4, and this is my 1/8 of an inch smaller than that. And I'm just going to make sure that's straight up there on the top. Trim that off. And now I have the size I need for right here. And I just want that to mat on there. And then I'm going to grab one from the paper pad, wherever I put it, because I can't keep up with my stuff. Did I put it back? No, I showed it to you guys, so I have to have it out here. All right, let me see. I lost my paper. I can't find it, you guys. What am I gonna do? I can't find anything tonight. Oh, I bet my laptop's on top of it. That's why I can't find it. There it is. So I know I have some extra of that paper because I didn't cut it, all of it. So like here's one. It's a little bit thicker, see? So it's bigger. I knew I would have one that I could trim down. So 1 3/4, and then I just want 1/8 of an inch smaller than that. And then that one should fit on the bottom section. Oh, I almost cut that off when I was closing my, oh, it's too long. 5 1/4, 5.5 to 5 1/4, I believe, is the same size as this one. Yep, 5 1/4. So there we go. Now that one will fit on the bottom. If you have any extra sheets, you can stick them on the inside of the card if you want, but you're going to have the frogs on there, so I don't know that you want to do that. These are my extra papers. I like to save them because you know I just needed it. We don't want to waste that. We need it. Okay, so this one is going to go at the top. I think I like it this way better. Not that it really matters. It's personal preference again. This is that Wonderland stamp, Wonderland paper pad. Super cute on both sides. But this just shows how universal it is. That's why I like the other side of these paper pads to be something I can use on anything I want. So this almost looks a little bit like ice. I bet you could use this with penguins and it would be really, really cute. Because it does kind of look a little bit like ice when you put it on the card like this, I think. Anyway, you know what's going to tell the ultimate decision is if those frogs actually fit in the center there. Then we're going to know if I got it right or not. If they don't worry, we'll figure it out. I'm sure there's a fix we can come up with if it doesn't work that way. So I want this to be about the same as the one above. So I'm going to slide it a little bit because that Barely Art glue will give you time to move it around. Okay, so we got a little ice on there. So now when we open it up, it's like clear on the inside. And you can't see where I attached it all, so that's great. That was the plan. And then what we want to do is put our frogs inside our card base. So it would be centered. It looks like it's going to be too low, but that's okay. I have a solution already. So it's slightly lower than what I really wanted it to be. And that's probably because I forgot about the bottom piece needing to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to trim the top just about maybe I don't know, let's start with like 1/4 of an inch and see how that goes. Because I think it'll still look really good inside the card. Plus, I can always add some of that other pattern paper on the inside. And if I lay this down, ooh, I'm so close. Gonna move it up. That's good because I want to put that pattern paper at the bottom. Oh, look at those frogs. They fit perfectly. Okay, so we need them to be slightly from the top. And then we can place them in here. And we want to be able to sign the bottom. So maybe we want to put the pattern paper. Let's look at the pattern paper and see how it looks. You never know. We need to see if it's going to look good though. I think it'll look good, but I think it might need to go this way. Yeah, because we need that space down there for you to sign, to say, you know, I hope you have a great holiday season or whatever. I have a small, do I have a smaller piece? No, that's different. I have, yes, I have a smaller piece. I always like to use the smaller of the two just so that I have the bigger one in case I need it. So this one's perfect. This is the one I originally cut for the front, but now I'm going to put it on the inside. Here we go. It's not too bad. It wasn't too painful to figure that out and correct it. But this is real life crafting right here. This is as it happens, so it's not going to be perfect. We're just going to learn as we go. And I like it. It just shows that we're real. There we go. And now I'm going to put this one on top. So darn cute. You like it? Yay! Okay, we're going to place this one on top. Like, I will have a couple of seconds to move it around if I don't get it in exactly the right place, but it's not going to give me too much time. So I'm going to set it there, close it up. It's perfect. I'm happy with it there. I don't have to worry about it. So I'm just going to press it down. Look at that. I magically got it lined up down here at the bottom too. Perfect. Now, if you don't like that inner change right there, I'm okay with it. But if you didn't like it and you wanted to do something about it, we do have some extra that I cut, and you could always add it on there like this if you don't like that ledge, and it would look like that. So it would look like it's kind of layered. So you could certainly do that. I'm okay with it just the way it is, so I'm not going to mess with it. I like it like this, but it's your, if it's your card, it's your choice. Then we have, I cut each one of those words 3 times because I want to layer them up. So we're just going to glue those together. It's going to make the word that much more sturdy. So let me clean off the tip of this glue. I just put a little bit here and there. Doesn't have to be a lot, just as long as you get some around there. And remember, this glue wipes right off your hands. It doesn't leave your hands sticky, and that's what one of the things I love most about it. Because my grandson can play with it, get it all over himself, and I just rub my hands together with his, and it cleans all the glue off. Okay, so just placing them together and make sure they're lined up. When we get all 3 of them together, we'll press them with the press pop just because we want to make sure we have a good hold. This makes them not so flimsy, a little bit more sturdy, and they just hold up better. I kind of like the dimension too. That way you don't have to put pop dots behind them. So just a little bit, just touch dots, and it'll stick enough. You could have cut it with double-sided adhesive on the back. I never think about that ahead of time. I always think about it while I'm trying to glue it because nobody likes doing this little tiny glue, but I love the precision of this glue, so I don't hate it so much. But I do think about how I should have used that whole roll of double-sided sticky tape. I should have used that so I wouldn't have to glue these together. But it's okay. Sometimes they glue a little bit off and that gives it a shadow look, and that's okay too. So, not really all that picky. There we go. So now it's a much sturdier letter, and I'm just going to press them together one time with this, just to make sure I got a good hold. We're going to set those aside because you can still see a little bit of the white glue on there, and I'm just going to let that dry because you won't be able to see it when it dries. And we'll put the word Christmas together. So this one should be pretty easy too. I'm just going to hold it in one spot and just put some. Doesn't have to be everywhere, just as long as you have a little bit here and there. You should be good. Hold this end. There we go. You want one dot on the little T and the M's. A. And definitely on the ends of the S because it's on the end of the word. Then I'm going to place this one on top. I usually start on one end and just kind of make my way across. And then fix as before it dries, you know, just lining it up. It's usually not very hard. This is a big word, so you want to make sure you take the time to get it stuck together the way that you want it. Again, if it's off, it's going to look like a shadow and it's going to be fine. So I don't really worry about that. It doesn't really bother me. If I was really concerned about that, I would lay it down slower, one section at a time, but there we go. That's pretty close to what we need. Slightly off right there, but it's letting me move them, so there we go. That's that layer. Now we just have to do it one more time. This is a bigger word, so I ended up hitting the press once first. Here we go. Wait till we do the dot. That's going to be oh so fun. Because it is so tiny, you can't even see it. Need the eye, or we could just put a gem on there and then you don't have to worry about it. That's usually what I do. But I did save it, and I do know where all three of them are, surprisingly. Even though I can't find a bottle of glue, I can find 3 tiny dots for my eye. I don't really know how, but... So see, I did that one a little bit slower, putting those layers together so that I could have them a little bit more lined up as I went along. So that's how you can do it if you prefer. And then our C's lined up. Now we pretty much have them all. See, now by the time we finished our Christmas, this one has dried and there's no white spots on it anymore. So you don't have to worry about that. Just give it a chance to dry and you should be fine. I think my M is slightly off before I press that all together. There we go. There we go. We have all of that pressed together. I'll let that dry and I'll stick my... I don't know how excited I am about doing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Here's the first eye dot. Just put a teeny bit of glue on there. That was way too much. So we'll just wipe it off on my fingernail. Why not, right? And then I'm going to grab my tweezers and I'm going to pick up the next one and I'm going to put it on top of this one, maybe, if I don't drop it. This is your entertainment for tonight. as I drop this little dot a million times. Place it on top of the other one. Then glue again, a little bit less this time. Then grab the next one. Again, my suggestion would be a glue dot. I mean, a gemstone. That's what I would do for this because it's so much easier. But I'm determined tonight. So there we go. I need to make sure they stay lined up. There we go. Hold them together with my tweezers. We'll put them on the table. I did it. You guys, are you proud? Are you proud of me? I did it. And then the outline I cut out in silver. So this is the matting for the word Merry Christmas. So this one will go on top of here, and it will look pretty. And this one will go on top of here. So you can make a ton of these when you're just watching TV, and then you can put them all on your Christmas card when they're already done. I think that's a great idea. It's easy to put them together. My suggestion though, put some double-sided sticky adhesive on the back of it because it's so much easier. Here we go. We're getting there. Dale just joined us for those of you who are still here.
The TV froze.
Yeah, it did. So here it goes. I place this one a little bit slower so I can get each letter where I want it. I kind of want the R back a little bit like that. And then the T where I want it. And then the M, it all kind of falls exactly where it's supposed to fall anyway. It's really pretty and I like it layered up like that. And I'll show it to you from the side so you can really see. But let me put this dot on here that drove me crazy. And we're going to do it with this because it'll be easier that way. Of course I dropped it, you know, because of course I did. There we go. Oh, I picked it up again. There we go. I'm going to try and press it down with this. Who knows, it might stick to it. Oh, no, it didn't. There we go. Okay, so we'll let that dry, and we'll put this one on there. You see how cool these are? It almost looks like a foam stamp, just because it's so dimensional looking. And then it's going to go on the card, and then we'll add a little bling, and we will be done. Not too shabby. I think once you get the measurements down for that card to add the acetate in the center of it, you'll be just cruising along with those kinds of cards. I like the see-through cards. Just going to move this down just a tad as I'm placing it on there. There we go. And then here's the amount of dimension that you can see with this. You can tell it sticks up and it's really cute. I like it. Gives you a lot of dimension on these. If you've never layered yours up, you should try it. You'll really like it. So Mary will fit up here, and I will probably put it like over just a little bit, or maybe even angle it so that it doesn't cover any froggy faces, and then Christmas fits at the bottom. Maybe I probably want this one to go like that. And it's okay if it hangs over on the acetate. That's not a problem. So we'll put our Mary there, and I'll probably put my Christmas over here. Like one on the left and one on the right. And we'll just stick that down. No need to pop dot it because we've already put 3 layers of the word. So you don't have to worry about that. It's already kind of there. Slide it into place. And then we'll put the Mary on there. And we'll put it right here. I just want to make sure I don't cover up any of the frogs. There we go. And now we do need a little bit of bling because we can't do anything without a little bit, just even a teeny bit of bling. So let's see. I wonder which one I like the best. These are the unique resin dots that we make in our shop. We make them ourselves. You can't get them anywhere else. Nobody else makes them. They are not from China or anywhere else for that matter. I think I like that color because I think it blends nicely, but it also gives just a little bit of dimension to that color. I think I'll put this one over here a little bit. And then maybe one over here will finish that up. And I think I'm okay with it being one of the bigger ones. Like that. Just so it shows up a little bit more. And you could use the red if you really like that, or the clear ones, or you could use the white. I think I like it being really subtle like that, so I'm going to leave it like that. Or, you know, I have ice cubes right here. Let's put ice cubes on there if you really wanted it to look like an ice cube. But I think I'm happy with the Doux Designs dots. I really, really like them. So I'm going to stick with them. There we go. So all I do is slide them over, put my glue on there. One more right here. And then just pick them up with these. Stick them down. Don't worry about the glue. When it dries, it'll dry clear. You won't be able to see that cloudy look underneath it, so don't worry about that. It really does work well. I put it on there, give it a second to dry just a little bit, and then I press them down with this just to make sure all the, you know, bubbles and stuff squeeze out. Because sometimes you have a little bubbles that pop around the outside. It's okay because they dry clear. But I just want to make sure the hold is solid and secure so we don't have any pop-offs. And I haven't had it pop off or anything like that since I've been using them. So it's worked out really great. So here we go. A little bit of a busy card, but I like it. It's got our Merry Christmas, and you open it up and it has all our sweet little frogs on it. So you could do this with penguins, or you could do it with frogs, or you could do it with anything you want pretty much. It's kind of up to you. It's your canvas, your design. But I hope you like the idea of doing that like see-through. You could do it with a little bit bigger space if you wanted, or smaller, or whatever you want. These frogs came out super cute. I like them. If I had some little bubbles, I'd put bubble words above them, but I don't have any stamps like that. But I put little bubbles that said, you know, like Ribbit and Merry Christmas up there. I think that would be really cute. But anyhow, this is our card for tonight. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you'll try that design and play around with it. If you want to come back and see how to make it, you can always come back to our YouTube video where I'll put the markers and all the information that we used on it, where you can get the paper and the markers and the Trinity Stamps die and so forth. So I'll put all that underneath the video. And then you can watch the replay and make your own. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you for joining me on Friday instead of Thursday. I know we normally do Thursday. We'll be back to a regular schedule next week. And then we'll talk about Thanksgiving next week, because I haven't decided when we're going to do the lives, because I'm pretty sure nobody's going to want to watch me on Thanksgiving. So we'll talk about the shift in that if we'll do more at the beginning of the week or what. But we'll talk about that next week, so stay tuned. There's also a Black Friday sale coming really, really fast, so we'll talk about that next week and let you know. It will not include the new release for sure. So if you want the new release, you should grab it while it's bundled. It's out there bundled. It's already discounted, so it won't be part of the Black Friday sale because it's already discounted if you buy it in a bundle. And then, yeah, and then I'll be announcing what else is on sale. So thank you so much for joining me. Love you guys. I'll see you next week. Take care. Come visit our YouTube channel. Good night.